What is lean management? Hey, this is Harry and welcome to this episode of The Harry Show. Today we're going to talk about lean management. Now, lean is a methodology that was popularized by Toyota in the early 1930s. So it's been around for a while. And it's one of the main foundational pillars of the Toyota production system and the quality management processes in Toyota that have been applied across the world in every industry on the planet. And today we're going to dive into those. And if you're in any type of profession, if you're in any type of business, the insights that you're going to receive from this video are game changing. You're going to be able to reduce the waste that you produce in your operations. You're able to increase the value you deliver to your customers, improve your customer satisfaction, make more money, grow your business, and make a deeper impact on the community. So let's dive in. So what is lean all about? Lean essentially focuses on reducing waste. It says that processes and businesses should only work and deliver things that are of value to the customer. So the opposite of waste is value. Now, both these are relatively vague terms. So for us to be able to understand them a little more, let's understand what value essentially is, because it's a very overused word in business. Value is subjective depending on what context you are actually using it in, but value for business is always defined by what customers are willing to pay for. What customers are willing to pay for is value. And anything that customers are not willing to pay for is waste. Now, what type of wastes are there in a process? There are 7 types of waste that Toyota initially identified in every process. Irrespective of the type of business that you're in, the type of industry you work in, you can notice all of these different types of waste in your processes. So let's dive in. They go by the acronym Tim Wood. T stands for transportation. And transportation is about excessive movements of goods and raw materials. And it's not necessarily physical goods, it could be virtual goods as well. For example, this video is going to go to an editor after I'm finished recording this. And that editor is going to create a video, they're going to add some B-roll, maybe improve the sound quality and so on, and they might send it to somebody on my team for the first review. And if that doesn't pass through the first review, then it goes back to the editor and it goes back and forth multiple times. Now that is a form of transportation waste. And our goal in our team is to do it right the first time, which is also referred to as built-in quality. Done right the first time. So this was one of the primary pillars of Toyota's mindset, that work should be done right the first time so that there is less transportation waste. We should not be moving goods and products across regions, across geographical locations, in between people multiple times where it can be avoided. So that is transportation. Inventory stands for goods and services just sitting there to be sold. So excessive supplies in offices, too many flyers, or anything that is not being used but it's sitting there, right? It's pretty self-explaining. M is referred to motion. Now this is about movement of people, Transport is about movement of goods and products. Movement of people. Are people moving around a lot? For example, if you have teams spread across the world and they're flying around for meetings, that's a lot of motion-based waste. This mostly applies to things like manufacturing processes, restaurants. McDonald's heavily focuses on reducing this waste of motion. They count the number of steps every worker in the kitchen needs to actually take to make one burger, because they have to take those certain number of steps hundreds and thousands of times a day, which eventually adds up on the human resource costs. So that is motion. W stands for waiting. When work is waiting for the next step, waiting for approvals, waiting for sign-offs, waiting for the right people to be available. People in between the process waiting for the next step. For example, when you go to a hospital, go to a clinic, you wait for the doctor to be available. You wait for the results to be available. You wait for the next person to actually be able to see you. That's a lot of waiting, and that's waste in a process. And that should be avoided so that you can deliver more value and you can increase your customer satisfaction. The first O stands for over-processing. Over-processing means overkilling something, doing more than what's required. Too many meetings, a lot of documentation, a lot of paperwork, testing more than what is required. For example, you go to a hospital, they'll write down 10 tests that you need to actually go and get done. Maybe that's required, maybe that is not. But if it's not required, that's a sign of over-processing. Too many meetings in between departments, in between teams, that's a sign of over-processing to deliver a piece of work. The second O stands for overproduction. Overproduction is very closely aligned with inventory, but inventory is for finished goods typically that you haven't produced but you acquired. Overproduction is doing more than can be consumed by the next step. So producing more in between the process, which leads to in-process inventory through overproduction, waiting to be sold, waiting to be taken up by the customers. And finally, the last form of waste is defects. Now, defects is obviously work that does not pass the quality standards, that does not get approval from the customer, that does not get approval from the next signing authority. And that is obviously a form of waste because that triggers a lot of free work. And it does not align with the overall idea of built-in quality, which says work should be done right the first time. Now, after these 7 forms of waste, there was another form of waste that was introduced, which is human skill set. So if you have people who have more skills than you're currently able to utilize, which means that those skills are being wasted and we're not able to deliver value from those skills. For example, in Canada and US, we see a lot of very highly skilled people doing very basic clerical or administrative work. Now, maybe it's something that they like and that's okay, but if they're willing to do more, then that's a waste of human skill set. The company, the organization, the team, the department is not able to utilize their skill set to the level that they can. Strategically focusing on identifying these 7 and the 8th type of waste in your department, in your team, can help you build more efficient, more productive, more streamlined operations that will deliver value predictably, seamlessly to the marketplace, to your customers, leading to higher levels of customer satisfaction, lower expenses, increasing revenues, and eventually increased impact on the industry and the society. If you have any questions, please comment below. Let me know. I read every single comment on my videos. This was lean management, reducing waste, increasing value, identifying wastes in a process so that you can deliver more value predictably and sustainably. This is Harry signing off. I'll see you in the next video. What did you learn from this video? Comment below and let me know. I read every single comment on my videos. And if you haven't subscribed already, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you don't miss any of our future videos. We already have a lot of videos on our channel. Check the playlist on marketing, sales, communication, leadership, influence, persuasion, all of these skills that'll help you transform the game and raise your career to the next level.